skin is black. My arms are long. My hair is woolly. My back is strong.
And welcome to another episode of TechHour. I am your host, Simone Smith-Bean, and today we have in the hot seat an amazing guest. He is a two-time Olympian, FinTech visionary, entrepreneur born on the island of Grand Bahama. He is the chairman and co-founder of Kanoo Pays, the world's first licensed payment institution to achieve integration, interoperability, and processing of CBDCs. Kanoo has grown to become the Caribbean's leading super app, offering an integrated digital marketplace and wallet experience. He is a true financial inclusion and empowerment guru and a chartered accountant, a MBA graduated from the University of Miami and also an alumni of Ohio State University. I want to welcome to the stage Nicholas Rees. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you so much, Simone, for that gracious introduction. It's it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be with you and your listeners. And I'm, really looking forward to the conversation. As you mentioned, we're set in the center of, I would say, the mission to drive financial inclusion, and there's so much there to be uncovered and talked about. We've really learned a lot, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
So let's get right into it, Nicholas. I want to hear more about your journey in becoming the founder of Kanoo, moving from being a chartered accountant, and you have been an entrepreneur from the start. But tell us more about your journey from starting a business as a chartered accountant, partnering with the partners that you had, and then moving into this digital asset space.
So really, for me, Simone, it was more of, I guess, a bit of providence, and just being prepared for the opportunity when it came. I liken myself a bit of a serial entrepreneur. Started trying to, build businesses as soon as I got done, with school, and came back with, from University of Miami with the MBA, and just was really excited to put that to use. And I've been involved with businesses from T-shirt companies to water manufacturing to you name it. I've taken a stab at it. I've probably failed at it. So the natural evolution of my business interests, I would say, culminated with the achievement of my chartered accountant certification with ACCA, and that pushed me into launching a boutique accounting firm. That accounting firm drove me into business planning, which was something that I was always passionate about. My father would always force me to do his business plans at no cost. And so it's something that I enjoyed doing, and I started doing it for other people, and doing it through my accounting firm, and helping other Bahamians with their ideas, how fleshing it out, turning it out, going through all of the various 360-degree inspection of the plan, like from marketing to accounting to operations to the technology. So I developed an ability to think horizontally and vertically, and more in line with just building clients' businesses. That evolved to a bit of a fundraise. participation in more of the capital raising for those clients as well. And I, in 2017, was fortunate enough to come across potential client that, also became a co-founder, that became a very good friend and a mentor and a co-founder. And we embarked upon this journey to drive financial inclusion by introducing some really revolutionary technology at the time to the Bahamas. And so we thought we would be up and running in 2000 by the end of 2017. But that took us 2 years to get that business out of the ground. So it was 2 years of planning, iterations, building, seeking out the regulatory licenses that were, and going through that process with the central bank as it relates to Kanoo. And that was a very tedious process, and which we came out of, and we got our license and launched officially in 2019. So 2 years worth of planning, strategy, hard work and sacrifice just to get to day one. You know, then on the heels of that, COVID, startup hiccups, pains, growth pains. So it's been an interesting journey, but that's more or less, everything started from the accounting firm for me. Prior to that, I would have been, dabbling in just various businesses. One of which actually was successful and still exists today, which I have no involvement in the day to day, but it's in the water business. But very proud of that. We were able to drive the cost of fresh water down by 80% in the Bahamas, and that has been something that was revolutionary. We did that in 2005. That was my first successful business that I launched.
And what is that called? What business is that, the water business?
So it's a business called, the name is Everfresh Water, and it's essentially a redesign of the water industry, the delivery system. So we have no overheads, no trucking, everything that's in a large manufacturing plant, just re-engineered, scaled down, automated with a vending component. So that water is also available 24 hours. But it does require individuals to maintain their own bottles. They fill their own devices, but it's a cost saving mechanism. And so where we looked at persons that needed water. So there was one client within like the first 6 months of launching, and this is when I knew that we were onto something. And it's about social impact. Investing, making a social impact in whatever you do. And so this is something I'm extremely proud of. This lady, she had 5 children, and all of her children were, diabetic and needed specialized water. And she was running through 5-gallon bottles a week, $5 a pop. And so you're looking at, $100 a week in water. Just for her needs, and we were able to cut that down to $20. So we saved her $80 a week, just on implementation, which was a direct impact to her bottom line. And she said she preferred the water because the water was better tasting and it was pure. So it was something that was very close to my heart, that I always remember that, anything you do in life and business, make sure you help people, make sure you're making a social impact. And so that is something that has driven all of my initiatives, my motives. I like to empower those around me, and, empower others. So at the end of the day, it is our collective minds coming together around a positive vision that's going to lift our society up from one point to the other. And we need to just continue to evolve and continue to innovate and continue to collaborate with one another in positive ways that causes the rising tide to raise all boats, essentially. So that's,
And
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, so entrepreneurship is truly a journey. And it seems that you have been through a lot of different experiences through the time that you started your first businesses into Kanoo. Tell us more about any unique challenges that you found and opportunities that you came about while you were growing your businesses and experiences that can really help the new founders that might be coming on the scene.
So the best advice I could give in terms of my journey is to stay connected to your experiences and your people, the people in your life, right? So everyone, from the random person you meet on the side of the street, to the investor you sit with in the boardroom, everyone has something to teach you, something for you to learn from. And those experiences, when looked at in a connected way, and how do they connect, how do they align with your purpose, you will naturally, I believe, evolve to the place where you need to be. And of course, with every opportunity, preparation is required. So you should be preparing from an early age, as soon as possible, preparing for maximizing your purpose. Purpose for us, for many people, comes at different times in their life. Purpose changes. Sometimes you may think the purpose that you are seeking or driving, you may come to find out that was only leading you to an inflection point where you need to shift gears and do something else. But everything is connected. So everything is connected, and so it's how can you leverage these connections when you meet someone. So in my case with Kanoo, I met an individual. I became aware that this individual had superior technology, superior expertise, and I was able to connect the dots as to how that individual, that technology, could be paired with individuals in the Bahamas, strategically identified and pulled together to align on the objectives of the business. One being seeking a license with central bank, operational capacity, financial capacity, technological capacity, right? And so being presented with the opportunity allowed me a space to think and to connect that opportunity with persons, things, and resources to bring that opportunity into being. And that is essentially at the core of creating, of how I create value, is by staying in tune and staying in alignment with the greater connectivity of my life and everything that I would have been exposed to, people that I would have been exposed to, from Sydney Olympics to the Athens to college, or anywhere that I would have gone in the world. I'm connected, aware, and always seeking out ways to connect the dots, so to speak. How can I continue to mature these relationships? If I know someone has a need in one place, and someone in another place can provide that service, how can I add value to connect those individuals, that technology, that financing with this business? And that's something that I've learned to do more and more, and continue to learn. And it's really about, for me, it was more of a journey of self-discovery and self-growth. Like for any entrepreneur, like I would now say that you focus, just your business grows to the point or extent that you are able to grow.
You guys have been a great example of that over at Kanoo. a young developer, young founders, connecting with young other like-minded individuals who have been creating together. And one of my chief mottos is to connect, collaborate, and create. And that has been at the forefront of things that you have been doing with this business. And so you've been in this technology, this new way of doing business, new way of conversing with each other. How do you see the technological landscape evolving across the Caribbean? I note that Kanoo is moving into other countries. Talk more about how you see that changing, and the downside or the things that you have seen has been a stumbling block for you to really become a inclusive network for payment across the Caribbean basin.
So yeah, so Caribbean wide, I mean, there's quite a bit happening in the Caribbean regionally, which is actually very impressive and exciting. I took a trip to Trinidad last year. I did quite a bit of traveling last year. I think I was out of the country for almost 180 days, 140 days. It was quite a bit. I actually had to, ask for some permission
Forgiveness from the wife. Yes, you're going too much.
Right.
Yes.
Again, very supportive, a very supportive wife. So she understands. We've been together since 1998, so quite some time logged. So right now is a special time, but the trip to Trinidad was just amazing. I mean, I met probably 5 other founders of amazing technology, from Web3 to payments to to ride hail. I mean, across almost, and even artificial intelligence, right? And so my trip to Trinidad was the first time that I had a tour of the metaverse. And we toured One Caribbean Plaza, which was a piece of real estate that was purchased and built in the metaverse. And we were able to walk around, and we took our avatar
Touch and feel. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we stood next to the Bahamian flag in the metaverse, and we did a wave, and so a lot of ideas and thoughts came out of that, and relationships, and persons just so willing to help, so willing to work together, right? And because it's about doing something greater than ourselves that's gonna benefit humanity, but at the same time everybody's gonna benefit. And so it's just an exciting time to be in FinTech and technology. We have made a lot of advances. We have been head down, working on our international expansion and our acquisition model. So we have evolved. This hasn't been disclosed as yet, so this may be something
hot off the press.
First,
like hot off the press, Nick. We like hot off the press. Come with it.
Hot off the press for you. But we've now completely reorganized, or in the process of finalizing a complete reorganization of the company, in the format to prepare us for global expansion. So we have now operations in five countries. We also finalized the acquisition in the UK. So we're now in London, and we're also looking to launch in the United States as well. With the third quarter, there's going to be a number, in addition to the technology that we intend to enhance and roll out. We have implemented an investment strategy, or an acquisition strategy. And so we've segmented a part of our business to focus solely on international mergers and acquisitions. So right now we have about 10 portfolio companies that are targeted and in closing, that represent a wide array of strategic technology. And so this, from artificial intelligence to payment technology, CBDC, cryptocurrencies, and our vision is to bring all of these technologies to the Caribbean, and make them available to Caribbean individuals and businesses to empower the entire Caribbean, and to continue to innovate around these technologies.
So let me understand, how do you see cross-border transactions fitting in that paradigm that you're creating with all of these companies in different jurisdictions? Do you see that Kanoo will be allowed to be able to speak to, like Kanoo UK will speak to Kanoo Bahamas, Kanoo Guyana will speak to Kanoo Jamaica? Like, how do you see that working as far as to being able to do transactions across the region?
So that's multifold. So our plan is we have a licensing strategy. So every territory in the Caribbean that we launch, we have active payment institution license applications being finalized, some of which have already been finalized. None have been announced officially, but we intend to roll that out in a license framework. Everything we do as a company from day one has always been with the goal to bring innovation to compliance. May not necessarily require a remittance license per se, right? So if you think about credit and debit card rails, so in the payment industry, you have different rails. You may have Visa has a rail, MasterCard, American Express, Diners Club, Kanoo has a rail, Sand Dollar has a rail, and all these rails are just like train tracks. So these are tracks that a particular type of payment transaction flows on.
Yep.
So you can use some of those. You can route payments from different rails for different needs and at different costs. And so that's a part of our strategy, is to look at that from the short term and a long term perspective. But certainly we see great value in having licensed entities in every territory that are able to, and under approved mechanism, facilitate low cost international remittances.
So specifically, how do you see Kanoo being at the center of that change throughout the Caribbean? Because you mentioned that there are a lot of payment networks that are springing up in different places, and you guys are expanding in different places, and that has been one of the sticking points in the Caribbean, ensuring that payments are able to be processed seamlessly and people can do business. So how do you see Kanoo fitting in the center of that paradigm, and supporting Caribbean expansion and development where across, just country by country?
Well, we want to make our technology and our innovation available to businesses and governments in the region, as well as individuals, to lay down those tracks, per se. So our goal is to provide and build infrastructure and empower others to drive at the speed of light. We don't make money until you make money. So the more, our innovation is centered around how do we get you to make money, right? And so that is at the core of our business model. And so, that's really what, has been driving our relationships. We're bringing the technology, the funding, the innovation, the experience, and expertise to power your business or power your government payment services, which is something that we have, really expanded on, and is, a world's first. So especially when you start talking about CBDC implementation and adoption, right? So we look to be central in providing the rails for businesses across the region.
Well, Nicholas, you guys are doing some exciting things over at Kanoo. I've been watching the company for some time, and I'm really proud to see Bahamians just innovating and being at the forefront of such a huge technology in a digital, in the digital asset space that's definitely moving at the speed of light. So, there are a lot of young founders coming up behind you. I want you to speak directly to them. What advice would you give an inspiring entrepreneur looking to make their mark in the digital asset space or the technology sector? And how do you think best would you direct them to get started, even in the funding realm? Because you did mention in the beginning it was all about connections. So how do you what advice do you give them when they're looking for that funding, getting their idea off the ground, and to just push forward?
So the best advice is to not give up. If you believe in it, never give up, and be prepared to jump off the cliff, and hope that the parachute opens. And that's, essentially, what we need to do for young entrepreneurs. The best time to fail and fall flat on your face is before the age of 30. So while you're young, why not give it a try? If you find a problem and that needs a solution, you can ideate around how you can solve that problem via technology. What you want to do is you want to search the globe, do some Google search, research. Hey, programmer, start calling, start emailing. I need a chief engineer. I need a programmer. An app builder, a software developer, right? And so if you go out and there are companies that provide the service, you want to scope it out, price it out. Maybe you work for a little bit and you fund it out of your pocket. There's some element of sweat equity that you've got to bring to the table. And then you've got to design a plan. You have to have a plan that is well thought out, that has proper financial projections and models. So there are business professionals in the community, like RDC partners, like other accounting firms that will bring you in, flesh out your business plan, help you identify how much it's going to cost to start your business and how much is it going to cost to run your business. And then you're going to look at, okay, this is what it cost me to start up, and this is what it's going to cost me to run my business for, say, 12 months, 24 months. So you've got your total funding capital requirements that you need. And now how much of that do you have? How much does mommy have? How much does daddy have? Uncle, cousin, sister, right? So it's called your friends and family, right? It's your friends and family
The
round,
family
right?
raised, that's right.
Yeah. So you look at you want to have a financial professional that's going to say, hey, you have this amazing idea. It's going to cost you $250,000 to get this built and started. You're going to need another $250,000 to run it. So you need $500,000. That's a very legitimate point that any young entrepreneur could find themselves in with an amazing idea. So you could very well sit down and say, hey, I have an idea that's going to make me $1 million plus a year, but I need to find $500,000 to make it happen. That then now is where you need to, hit the ground, knock on doors. You do your friends. How much of that can you put in? How much can your friends and family put in? Maybe you take some of that in as a friendly loan, or you sell some equity. You say, hey, you go to your friend and you say, hey, you have $50,000. You want to put this in? I'll give you 10%, or I'll give you 5%. How do you intend to value your business? Right? And so you can sell some chunks of equity. You can also entice persons to work for you. If you don't have that $250,000 for 2 years worth of expenses, hey, well, maybe you take your first key employees and you identify your operations CFO, your chief marketing officer, and you say, hey, you guys, you moonlight for a little bit. You already have your job. You moonlight with me for a little bit. In the night, in the evening times, on the weekends, right? And you get this done. and I'm going to give you X% of the company. And so you will find persons out there that will work for equity. So remember now, the guys that did the Facebook sign were paid shares. The value of those shares were astronomically well in excess of what they would have been paid for actually producing the sign. That's an interesting story. So you can use the equity that you have in your idea and your business to bring people in. You can use your friends and family around. If you don't have access to friends and family, then you need to start knocking on the doors of investment houses, you know, corporate advisors. Do a research, join LinkedIn, join an investor network, start reaching out on LinkedIn. Hey, start developing relationships. You've got to engage. You've got to go out. When I was working with the founders of the IMAX with Fusion Superplex, we knocked on every single door of every single financial institution in the globe. It felt like it was a listing of over 300 financial institutions that we went door to door, and you know, there was a way and a means for that we gained access to that, but we had to do the research to find the people to say, hey, how do we go and access all of these financial institutions so that we could have these conversations to present our idea to raise this money. And so we were successful in pulling that off. That is a story.
That is a story
that
needs to be told. I should have to actually tell them they need to come on the show. We need to get them on this show. Okay? We need to get Khalil. We need to get the whole crew on this show, because I think that is an amazing story. A lot of people don't know how that investment came about, how young the individuals are who are involved in that project, and how they were able to get it off the ground. People had so many speculation, but that is an amazing story, and I think that really should be told, because you guys are becoming these beacon of examples of young entrepreneurs who are doing it and not doing it in the traditional way that we have seen entrepreneurship happen, not going to the same exact people every time asking for money. The same persons who are involved in business in our country that we have seen over and over be involved. And you're changing that paradigm, and it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing feat to see. So, I mean, everybody should be very proud at seeing the things that are changing.
I am extremely proud of that project and to have been a part of that project, and to have been able to work with such a caliber of Bahamians, right? I have never met, and I tell everybody about this story, I have met the founders of the Fusion Superplex. I personally have never met more, that level of professional, certainly within this age bracket. The level of expertise and research that was done on that project. When I met those guys, when I met the founders, they were early stage. It was back in 2012, and again they came to me with a stack of data that was like this thick, and we had to build a business plan around this. And we flew to Thailand for 10 days. We designed that facility in Thailand, right? And then we came back, and then we brought in the local architects, and they then finalized the design and then reiterated it. And the level of thought and strategy that's into that building is quite significant. And think about this now. When I say, going back to the beginning, we say don't give up, right? If you believe in something, don't give up. Those guys, when they started in 2012. I didn't even think even before that they would have started ideating. But they all left their jobs. They resigned. They jumped off the cliff. And this was before funding. They jumped off the cliff, and they worked 80-hour weeks, sometimes more, to do what was necessary to put the work into that project. And so now we're looking at phase 2 and phase 3 for that project. And then subsequent to that, we'll be looking at an international expansion model. And then also we want to include...
We're waiting for these things to go public.
Well, yeah, so that's where I was going next. So that's where I was going next, right? And so going public is a stage of, it's a part of the staging of your financing rounds. And so it's always been from day one, that project, the vision and goal is to basically bring that to the public. With Kanoo, I have a crazy idea that I want to explore versus doing a traditional IPO. I would like to, at the end of the day, grow Kanoo to a point where we're across the entire Caribbean, and then turn around and actually sell it to the individuals that are the customers, so the users of Kanoo. So if you have a Kanoo app, maybe sometime in the future, if I'm successful enough and my partners we don't decide to go in a traditional IPO route, I would love to see all of my customers that have been with us in the Kanoo app. I would love to see them with a share, with an ownership in that app across the entire Caribbean. And so that's the kind of big, idea that I have, and we're kind of playing with it. But we've got to mature the business. We've got to put the things in place so that when we get to that point of becoming a public company, we can now really say, okay, now true to our empowerment model, let's power up everybody that was a part of this journey, benefit, our own lives, protect our children from nefarious technologies that could potentially present themselves, right? So this is technology by us, for us, right? And so it is essential. Like, the world of tomorrow is about technology. If we don't engage, if we don't start developing programmers, coders, our own artificial intelligence, if we don't start engaging in these things, we are going to be subject to these things, right? And so it's important to understand the technological landscape. How do we fit this technology in to our lives within our value system? Also something that is the core of what we're doing, which is why we're going out and we're acquiring technology. We want to acquire all of the technology pieces that are essential in the future, because we want to make sure that the way we build upon those technology pieces and we integrate those technology pieces and provide that solution to our citizens in the Caribbean, we want to ensure that that is done in a righteous way, and we're calling it righteous technology. This could eventually someday connect the Caribbean to Africa as well.
Correct. Yes.
Right?
John knows.
Yeah. So we have, I can't announce that, but we are announcing in FinTech Islands on the 24th of January. There'll be a major announcement by Kanoo as it relates to the African market.
And that's the event that's going to be in Barbados in Cave Hill?
Yes.
Next week?
Yes. At Sam Lord's Castle.
Sam Lord's Castle. Yes. Well, that's an awesome, this future just sounds super bright for Kanoo and for the technology that you're implementing, and we're looking forward to seeing it grow, and hopefully one day we'll see it in Bermuda as well, and all the other different jurisdictions that we'd love to see Kanoo's show up. And Nicholas, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. We are very proud of the things that you guys are doing, and we look forward to having you back to talk about what announcements you were made and things that are coming in the future. So let's make sure we get you back on the show so that you can update us as to where you're going, and hey, the sky is the limit.
Thank you so much, Simone. I heard you loud and clear. I will wait on the invitation to come to Bermuda, and we will try to get that Bermuda turned on in short order.
Hey, we
Thank
like
you.
to hear that. We like to hear that. All right. Take care,
All right.
Nicholas. Thank you. And that is another episode of Tech Hour. I'm your host, Simone Smith-Bean. And as always, we are here to take technology to the next level. See you next time.
Strong enough to take the pain inflicted again and again. What do they call me? My name is on Sarah. My name is on Sarah.